Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi.
Georgette, yes, Georgette, you're still muted, Georgette.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
I am good. How are you ladies doing today?
Wonderful.
Good,
We got
good.
like 1 minute to show time. Let me find my two special attendees.
Hi, Tristan.
Hi, Kristen.
Hello.
I'm still waiting on Jeffrey.
Okay. I thought Tristan was a boy. Surprise.
Something. How do I?
Tristan, you had a busy day like the rest of us?
I had an interview earlier today for my master's program at school.
All right.
What are you
That's
doing?
awesome.
You killed it.
Thank you. I hope so. I'm doing communication sciences and disorders at UVM, University of Vermont. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
That's different.
Yeah. Are we gonna wait another minute or should we get started?
We can get started with who's here and who else needs to join on.
Yes.
They can do that.
That's right. Time is of the essence.
Absolutely.
Good day, everyone. My name is Keldra Pinder. For those of you who may not be familiar with me, I am ably assisted by Mrs. Marlene Knowles. She is the principal at Freeport Gospel Chapel. Today, our special guest speaker is Mrs. Georgette Albury, all the way from New Providence. So she is in the company of a lot of Grand Bahamians, but nonetheless, she's right at home. And she will also have two students assisting her today, Miss Tristan Thompson, and give us the name of the other one.
Jeffrey Burnside.
And Mr. Jeffrey.
There he is.
There he is, Mr. Jeffrey Burnside. But it is my pleasure to introduce you to Mrs. Georgette Albury. She is a proud graduate of St. Augustine's College. Now, if you know anyone from SAC, you know pride runs deep, okay? Almost as deeply as Crusaders, you know, but they almost there. And she still carries the school motto close to her heart. The Lord is my light. She holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in management from Nova Southeastern University, and she is currently pursuing a master's degree. Outside of work, Georgette is heavily involved in the work of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, where she has served in various leadership roles, including the president of Theta Epsilon Zeta Chapter 2016 through 2018. Georgette serves as the secretary of Mako Aquatics Club, where both of her beautiful daughters swim competitively. She is also a representative of the Bahamas Aquatics Federation, where she assists with some of the administrative duties of the organization. In her spare time, Georgette enjoys working out, running, reading, and traveling. I like all those things except the working out and the running part. She is happily married to Mr. Kendrick Albury, and she has been blessed with two daughters, as mentioned earlier, Kalia and Jillian, okay, 17 and 9. So Georgette, she is very passionate about seeing students succeed in all areas, academics as well as sports. And so she has graced us today with her presence to tell you all about how to get into college and how to do well while you are there. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this segment over to Mrs. Albury.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me go and share my screen.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Hello,
All right, welcome.
thank you.
Sorry about that. Give me one moment.
No problem. So for those of you who were here yesterday, just shooting out a reminder, you had some homework. I neglected to say sooner rather than later, turning in that homework. That would work in your favor. So as Miss Aubrey gets set up, just want to plug that in, okay? If you were here yesterday, the opportunity is still awaiting you, so be sure to be working on what you need to be working on.
Okay, here we go.
Right.
Thank you, Mrs. Pinder and Mrs. Knowles, for inviting me to participate and address the youth of the nation in this three-part webinar on preparing for an unprecedented future. I hope that this presentation today can touch each and every participant in some way. Today, I will briefly discuss the ins and outs of getting into college. So, how did I get here? For the past 2 years, I have devoted most of my personal time outside of everything that Mrs. Pinder has said to assisting my now 17-year-old daughter, who is a 2020 graduate. Shout out to the 2020 graduates. With the immensely hard decision of choosing the right institution to begin her career. I can talk for hours. Anyone who knows me knows I can talk for hours and hours about the ups and downs and the ins and outs of the entire experience. But I've chosen to focus on 3 main areas. 1, the importance of being prepared. 2, deciding on what to study and where to study. And 3, the budget. So let's get started. What is college, right? College is a place. College can take place physically or online. It is a place to obtain education to prepare you for the field you wish to work in or to take you along your career path. But like my fellow presenter, Rashina Campbell, at yesterday's session said, you have to create a career path by making note of the steps needed to take to get you there. College is also a place to make friends, to network, to develop relationships. College is a place to have life-changing experiences. Throughout this presentation, I will use the term college, but I will be referring to both colleges and universities. So the main difference between the two is that colleges offer undergraduate programs while universities offer both undergraduate and graduate programs. Preparation is key. So for me and my daughter, I began her formal college search at the beginning of grade 11. Should we have started earlier? Most definitely. However, if you are listening in and currently in grade 11 or 12, it is not too late. Get started now. Let's discuss how you can prepare. Grades. Those lovely letters on the top of those papers or assignments that you have or on your transcript. How important are those grades? They are extremely important. Most colleges review transcripts from grades 10 to 12. A transcript is a school's first glance as to the type of student you are and what you have been able to accomplish academically. Some applications are due as early as November 1st of your graduating year. So by the time you are ready to submit your application, you should have 2 solid years of senior high school results reflected on your transcript. If you are planning on attending college, do what you can to ensure that the grades achieved during this time are your best, your utmost best. External examinations, the hot topic right now, right? If planning to study abroad, find out what is accepted by the country you wish to study in. So for example, the SAT and or the ACT are needed to attend colleges in the US. Most schools list their requirement, like a score range that prospective students should fall within. So for us, we use the website niche.com to research colleges and universities on the website, you can search schools located in the United States. You will find a range of information from the school size, and then in this case, you will see the SAT or the ACT range. So for example, Florida A&M have an SAT range requirement of 1040 and 1170, and an ACT range of 19 to 23. This information is readily available at your fingertips. EGCSE. EGCSE scores are also a requirement for the University of the Bahamas and some international schools. But just as a point of reference, the University of the Bahamas announced that they have waived that particular requirement this year and will be hosting an entrance examination. There is a path for every student. Whether you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a carpenter, a cosmetologist, a graphic designer, there are certain things you must possess, whether it is a 4-year degree or certifications. Furthering an education or training is necessary to becoming successful. Find out exactly what you need to do to obtain your end goal. A quote by a famous American civil rights leader, Whitney M. Young Jr. states, "It is better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared." So guess what? Get prepared. Start your preparation from now. Give yourself sufficient time to gather the information to make calculated decisions. Good grades and high test scores can lead to more scholarships. So do your best. Seek help and seek help early. There are many times when you come across a topic in a specific class that, may prove difficult. What do you do then? Ask your teacher for extra classes and or speak to your parents about enlisting in a tutor. The sooner you get help, the quicker you can move on to the next topic, the better your grades will become. There are also preparatory classes available for the SAT and VGCSE that can further assist you with tips on taking these exams. Deciding what to study. What is the formula for success? Ask yourself, just take a moment, ask yourself, what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? What can I see myself doing for the next 5 years, 10 years? Once you answer these questions, you can begin your search for the right program to get you there. So students, take a brief moment to reflect on your answers to those questions. I highly recommend getting a mentor. A mentor can provide guidance and give personal insight into your desired career. They can help to steer you in or out of a particular direction, especially if you're unsure. So let me give you this example. So about 3 or 4 years ago, my daughter came to me and she said, "Mommy, I would like to be a pediatric oncologist." So a pediatric oncologist is a cancer doctor for who see children. So I sat there and I said, okay, not a problem. And at the time in the field that I was working then, I had access to doctors at my fingertips, and I knew an oncologist at the time. And I mentioned it to him one day when I went to see him, and he said, "Bring her to me, let us have a conversation." And I took her there. She was probably in the 9th grade, and he had a candid conversation with her. He is passionate about what he does, but he was real as well. He explained to her the time it would take for her to to achieve this goal, the years of study, the exams she will have to take, and he just gave her a reality check. So, and he encouraged her, if she was passionate about this, he would be gladly available. He would love to be her mentor along this process. A few weeks later, I guess she's thinking about this now. A few weeks later, she said, "Mommy, I think I want to rethink this," right? So sometimes we need to make those experiences happen to help guide us along the way. Knowing the path needed to be taken to achieve your desired goal is imperative. For example, a path to becoming a physician is you obtain an undergrad degree, you apply to medical school, you attend medical school, including internship, then residency, and then if you plan to specialize, there are even more steps. During this time, you will assess how long your program will take so that there are no surprises. Ask questions. Meet with your school's guidance counselor. Find someone who can help make this process a bit easier. Deciding where to study is also very important. Do you want to stay home in the Bahamas? Are you comfortable with living in the United States while you complete your studies? Canada is an option, isn't it? What about the weather? You know, we are used to the sun, sand, and sea. Can you survive the snow? Ask yourself these questions. Some other factors you should consider are: 1, public versus private school. So public universities are mainly funded by state governments, while private schools are funded primarily by endowments and students' tuition. This can be an important factor when looking for major funding. 2, location. You may want to study in a particular state or may have an aversion to another. So let me slip this in right there, right here. My supportive husband, who I love dearly, is tuned in right now. He is the last Dallas Cowboys fan, right? Do you believe he only wanted us to look at colleges in Dallas or close to Dallas so he can attend the games while he visits, the home games while he visits with his daughter, with our daughter? His head wasn't in the right place. But seriously, you may want to attend a school in Alabama because an aunt or an uncle may live nearby and could provide a sense of security for you and your parents. Size. Colleges and universities range in size. It range in different sizes. So fewer than 1,000 students, that's considered small. Medium, 5,000 to 15,000, and then large is anything over 15,000 students. Parents, you know your children. Will they be okay in a classroom of 350 students, or do they perform better in a smaller environment? Consider these factors when making your decision. Now let's talk money. We as a people don't usually like to talk about the money, or sometimes become discouraged because we know college tuitions can be expensive, but do not dismay. Students, have the conversation with your parents. Ask the hard questions. Like, Mom, Dad, have you made provisions to fund college for me? Parents, let your son or daughter know exactly what you can afford. Realistically, take a look within yourself and ask yourself those hard questions. For example, if you are paying about $2,000 per term for high school at this moment, how much more would you be comfortable with paying when you add an additional, certain amount of money on top of that? For me, at the beginning of 12th grade, my parents sat me down and said, Georgette, we want you to attend college. We can afford the College of the Bahamas. So I knew what to expect. And I then charted a path based on that reality. Again, it is important, it is vital to know how much money is available for your degree so that you, the student, can plan accordingly. Choose options within your parents or your sponsor, because we have some grandparents, some godparents who will sponsor a college tuition within their budget. Explore alternatives like working to save, then attending college, or looking for and applying for scholarships. When applying to schools, find out the cost. All of this is on niche.com as well, or on the individual schools' websites. Check to see if payment plans are available, and research opportunities for financial aid and/or scholarships. So let's take a moment to recap everything that I've said so far. 1, remember, preparation is key. 2, decide what you want to study based on what you enjoy doing and what you are good at. 3, decide where you want to study based on various varying factors like location, size, and type. Know what you, your parents, or your sponsor can afford. We're almost there. Let's now take a look at a few more important factors. Deadlines. I cannot stress this anymore. Students, do you recall your teachers assigning homework and assigning it with a specific deadline? If you never understood why, you definitely will when you begin the process of applying to colleges and universities. A missed deadline can result in a rejected application or a loss of a potential scholarship. Therefore, it is important to know each application's deadline for the application for the school as well as for the scholarship. Set personal deadlines for yourself that are even stricter than the school's scholarship deadlines, and meet them all. When my daughter and I went through this process, I used an Excel document and an Excel spreadsheet and a manual planner. Anyone who's on this call can tell you that I am the Excel queen. Excel is versatile in making data searches as well as it sorts easily. So some of the columns that we used included her school, like the name of the school, the location, the annual cost, number of students, application deadline, any scholarships that the school offered, and next to them were their individual deadlines. And then because she also wanted to swim at the college level, we had a few other columns, like if the school had a women's swim team, the name of the coach, and then all of their contact details. I would encourage you to tailor that document, tailor whatever document that you want to use to your needs. Update this document as frequently as possible and use it in conjunction with a manual or electronic planner to keep you on track. An old adage coined by Edward Young states, procrastination is the thief of time. Do not procrastinate. Those deadlines will creep right up on you. You do not want to be scrambling around at the last minute and rush the application. That brings us to the application. The application process can be scary, but there is nothing to fear. Online websites like commonapp.org have made the process a bit less tedious. On this site, students will prepare one application, choose schools to submit the application to, complete any additional details like an essay or like a particular section based on the school. Like if it's a Christian school, there may be an additional page of your beliefs, your spiritual beliefs. Look to see what all that college has requested, pay the application fee, if applicable, and then submit. This is one central location that can save time. Some schools still prefer for students to complete individual applications. This information is readily available on their individual websites. Surprisingly though, there are still some schools who only accept applications by mail. There was just one school like this that my daughter applied to, but they do exist. These international applications, we had to FedEx it to the school. So let's discuss the actual completion of the application. The application is where you list everything you would like the college or university to know about you that would be helpful in you being accepted. But before you begin, ensure that you have a personal, professional email. For example, first name, last name @gmail.com, first name, initial, the initial of your first name, last name @gmail.com. Colleges and universities will use this avenue, this form to communicate to you. They will communicate your acceptance, your financial aid offer, if applicable, and also very important information like start dates. So right now, a lot of students who've been accepted into colleges and universities are now waiting on that announcement. Will schools begin in the fall? This is how they would communicate to you. Pay attention when completing the application. Ensure that all sections are completed and in its entirety. Answer all questions fully. The essay is a very important part of the application. Pay attention to word limits, as some answer boxes will not allow you to go over. So if there are any students on the call who are familiar with the Common App, you may have an essay that is 350 words maximum. If you put 351, it will not accept it. So you please be mindful to stay within those guidelines. I suggest typing your essays in a Word document and then copying and pasting it into the application. How someone review it. I know each and every one of my daughter's applications, each one of her essays she completed, and then she sent to me. I would review it, we would discuss it. If there are any changes to be made, then she would just copy and paste. She would make them and then copy and paste into her application. Like I said previously, ensure that you submit before the school deadline. So what happens next? After you've applied to these colleges, what are the next steps? You may be accepted into more than one college or university. You now have to choose. So once you have made your decision, one, pay the enrollment fee. You, the applicant, will receive an email inviting you to pay a fee that will officially enroll you into that college. Fees vary from college to college. If offered scholarships from that school, formally accept these offers. So they will send you some fine print, a contract that you sit down and you read, go through line by line before accepting the offer. Again, this is usually done electronically. The college or university will send information regarding medical documents that can include an immunization record and a physical. Start these as early as possible. Because some of the immunizations you do require 2 doses, and they're usually 2 months apart. Please note that there are deadlines attached to everything mentioned. Deadlines, like I said, is important. It is very important. Visa application, if applicable, will also have to be completed once the college or university sends over the appropriate information. Before we open the floor for questions, I thought it would be fitting for you to hear from 2 students who have recently, well, more recently than I did, transitioned from high school to college or university. First, we will have Ms. Tristan Thompson, who is a graduate of St. Anne's Anglican High School and is currently a senior at the University of Vermont. Then we will have Mr. Jeffrey Burnside, who graduated from Doris Johnson High School and is now a senior at our very own University of the Bahamas. Tristan?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So tell us about your experience.
Okay, well, after I graduated from St. Anne's School, I went to an IB program at United World College. And after that, then I applied to university in the States. So in order to figure out which schools I wanted to go to, first I narrowed down to which area in the United States I wanted to go to. So I know I wanted to go to some New England states, so like Vermont, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine. Then within after I solidified that, then I said, okay, what kind of school do I want to go to? Luckily enough, me and my family traveled to Vermont, and so I got to see Vermont, and I got to see the nature and just how beautiful the campus was, which was really important for me because back at my old school, it used to rain a lot, and I really missed the sun coming from home. And Vermont is just sunny, and it gets really cold, but it's better than where I was before a bit. So once I figured out that, okay, I really wanted to go to Vermont, I applied to 3 schools in Vermont along with other schools outside of Vermont. And I got accepted to all 3. And then after that, based on how much money they gave me, based in aid, and I tried to get more aid by sending more emails. And after that, then me and my parents solidified on University of Vermont. Oh, you're muted. Yeah.
What is your major? And then explain why you chose your major.
So at first, going into UVM, my major was biology, and I had the intentions of going on to med school to become an endocrinologist and coming back to work at home. But through my bio major, I had to take different electives, and one of them I took was communication sciences and disorders, and development of the spoken languages. And in that elective, I fell in love with communication sciences and disorders. So from there, I went searching up about the degree, about where I could go with this degree. I emailed some faculty, and after I realized that, ooh, this is what I wanted to do because it combined some sciences, but also helping people a lot, kind of like that social aspect. Then I decided to make my major communication sciences and disorders going into my 2nd year.
Okay, great. That is very interesting. We're gonna have to talk more about that offline. Tell us about your experience at your university.
So University of Vermont, it's a predominantly white institution. The percentage of Black people is about 1%. And I think I'm the only Bahamian there and one of the few students that actually grew up in a Caribbean country. So that can create a struggle sometimes, especially when I want some food from home and I probably already ate all the food that my mother packed for me. But other than that, it's a great university. It has beautiful mountains, it's always green. It gets cold, very, very cold from about November to, let's say, February, but it's really lovely. I really love it. And it has so many majors, which is something that I really love about University of Vermont. It has majors from biology to physical therapy to communication science and disorders, a lot of majors that I hadn't seen before. But when I first went to University of Vermont, I was very, very nervous because I didn't know anybody. And like I said, there were no Bahamians there. So there wasn't anyone I could get well acquainted with way before going there. But I just made friends with those who were on my on my floor, right outside my dorm. And actually, 2 of my best friends were actually on that same dorm. And it's going really, really good. Adjusting to being away from home. I was kind of used to it because I went to school away from home before, but it's really, really good.
Okay, great. Tell us about the role your parents played when you made the decision to go to University of Vermont.
Okay. So my parents they didn't pressure me into choosing which area or which country per se I wanted to go to, but I knew I either wanted to go to America or Canada. From straight off the bat, my parents told me I'm not going to Canada because Canada doesn't allow internationals to go into their specific specialty program. So my chances of getting into med school were very, very low. So that was already out of the question. And in terms of which school, like I said before, I got accepted to 3 schools in Vermont: University of Vermont, Middlebury, and Bennington. And I didn't really want to go to Bennington. It was just there just in case that I didn't get accepted to the main school I wanted to go to. So it was between Middlebury and UVM. And a lot of my friends from my past school went to Middlebury, so I was leaning more to that side. But my mother, she does extensive research on anything you tell her about. So she searched up about the atmosphere of both UVM and Middlebury. And she said, well, I'd rather you prefer to go to UVM, but if you want to go to Middlebury, let's go there. But their decision really came into play when it came to paying the school fees. And so I told my parents from the get-go, I don't want you to get a loan in order to pay for my school fees because I have a little brother and he's up and coming, going to university, so I didn't want to set them back in any way. So I appealed to both UVM and Middlebury, saying, okay, can I have some more aid? And then based on whichever one they gave me, based on whichever one was best for my parents, then I went to that school. Because University of the Bahamas was also in the midst. And if the offer wasn't better, then I would go to University of the Bahamas.
That is quite considerate of you, to think about your little brother and to think about mom and dad. Students, I hope you're listening. There's nothing wrong with, making sure that they straight too, So in your response just now, you mentioned about having a second option. Was that like a cushion? Did that serve? Were you more comfortable having a second option? Yeah, before I go to the next.
Having a backup option really, really helped because, different universities have different acceptance rates. And so one may be higher or lower than the other. So the chances of me getting into one was either higher or lower. Bennington had a relatively higher one. And at the time when I applied to my 3 schools in Vermont, I really wanted to go to Middlebury, which has a low acceptance rate. So I said, okay, I'll apply to Bennington because it's still in Vermont. It's still cute. And just in case I don't get into the school of my choice, then I'll have something to fall back on and see how much they provide me. So it's very good to have options when applying to colleges because you never know what can happen. In terms of getting admitted to a college, it's very unpredictable sometimes. And, one thing may cause them to give a spot to somebody else. It may be how much aid you're requesting, or maybe you didn't do this extracurricular activity as opposed to someone else. So it's good to have options so you have a higher chance of getting into a college at least.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. What is something that you would do differently in relation to your transition from high school to college?
Honestly,
if any.
Honestly, I wouldn't do anything different because before going to VM, I went to a school abroad that did the IB program. And so that gave me a lot of experience in living away from home and living in an entirely new country, getting adjusted to a new culture. Because by going off to college, I realized that there's a difference between visiting a place and as opposed to living in the place. You really have to not assimilate, but get used to the different culture that there is compared from there to home. But honestly, I wouldn't do anything different. I think everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to, and it prepared me the right way, I think, for where I am now.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Is there anything else you'd like to share with everyone on the call?
Just one last piece of advice. Similar to what Ms. Georgette said, figure out what you love, but also be kind of open to getting to know about different areas because there are so many areas out there that you can major in. Like I said, I didn't know that communication sciences and disorders existed before I took an elective in that course. So especially when you're taking electives, try and take something that you wouldn't really want to. So if you're a biology major, don't stick to all the sciences. Go into something like gender and women studies because that can open your mind, and you may want to change your major, you may not, or you might want to do something called I think it's called an interdisciplinary study when you combine 2 majors to make your own. So don't be afraid to learn about different areas of study. That's my main advice.
That is excellent advice. Tristan, thank you. Thank you so much. You'll be able to remain on the call just in case we have questions from other attendees, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Jeffrey, you're up.
Hello.
Hi. So tell us about your college, your transition from high school to college, and anything else you want to talk about today.
Well, my transition from high school to college was different from the ordinary. I graduated from Doris Johnson in 2012, which was 8 years ago. Yesterday literally made 8 years since I graduated from high school. So you can tell now that I'm still in college. I didn't start right away. I was a average student, low 3 point for the most part in high school. I'm from a fortunate family, but my parents always made sure I had the necessities. So I never went hungry, never went without everything that I needed. But my parents weren't really the ones to really have it for me to do more. So I basically was floating through high school. They'll tell me, make sure I get good grades. I couldn't turn on TV after school and all that stuff. So it was basically me making sure I maintained these good grades so my parents would continue to be proud of me in that aspect. But they weren't the ones to really say, go to college, have that college talk, tell me about the different opportunities. Because my dad is 67. He finished school from grade 6. And my mom she graduated high school grade 12, but she never pursued a tertiary level education. So it was basically me on my own trying to figure things out going forward. So initially, when I graduated from high school, I said to myself, I want to take a semester off. I want to, catch myself because high school is a lot. And then to go to college, which is even more, I just want to take my time. So that was really my mindset. And as I continued, after I finished high school, one semester turned into a year, it turned into 2 years, then it turned into 3 years. And then luckily I had an older lady at my work because I started working at that point at NASA agencies. And I had a lady on the job who saw the potential in me. And she said, you know what, why aren't you in school? I told her, well, I had applied to UB from high school. I'd already got accepted and everything. And they told me, my guidance counselor told me that, hey, I could take the time off and whenever I'm ready, I could easily go back I think I had about a year without having to resubmit all of my application and documents again. So
Jeffrey? Okay, looks like we're having some technical difficulties with Jeffrey. Let's give him a moment. Okay, while he reconnects, can we open the floor for questions, Ms. Knowles or Ms. Pinder?
Yes, on the call as well. Oh, I see Jeffrey is back.
Yes.
All right,
yes,
we
yes.
also, I'll just interject here. We also have a couple of representatives from the University of the Bahamas who will possibly be able to answer any questions that would be posed at them, but that'll come a little bit later. So Jeffrey, your connection is okay?
yeah, it seems to be okay now. I'm so sorry about that.
No problem, thank you.
Okay.
Fine.
But where did I get cut out? Just so I don't miss anything.
You were talking about your coworker who encouraged you to go back to school, and you had explained to her that you've gone through, the process already of admittance.
So yeah, I would have went through the process of submitting my application directly at a high school, and I think I had about a year to just I'll be good to go without resubmitting any documents on my application. But a year turned into 2, and so yeah, I didn't end up getting into college until spring 2015. And at this point, I'm now reprogramming my brain to now being in a classroom again. I have to recondition myself to, okay, now you got to get back into studying mode. You got to get back into being attentive into class and all these different types of stuff. And then I'm all about that. I'm 21 years old, even though that's in a classroom with kids who are fresh, but I'm feeling a bit insecure, relatively young. It's amazing my days with you. But so all of these things I was getting myself realigned with doing again. But the whole process as a whole was pretty easy in terms, because it still wasn't too long. 3 years wasn't that long. But
Okay, looks like we lost Jeffrey again. Jeffrey?
Yes, I am so sorry. I am in my vehicle. I was heading from work trying to make
okay.
it on your Bluetooth. I'm gonna try see if I can get this better connection by screwing down my window. So I'm good?
You're good. You're good.
All right. So yeah, so just realigning myself with everything that it took to be back in school, studying, reprogramming myself. And then it's amazing how the mind plays on you, because I then started to think in my head, you're 21 years old, you're in this classroom with these younger kids who are fresh out of high school. So now I'm feeling a sense of, oh, I need to show that, hey, I ain't this old man, even though I'm still young. I'm not this old man in this classroom with a bunch of younger students. So that was really something that I had to work out. But overall, the transition was pretty good. It wasn't so bad, but I just got to the point where I still want that college experience. So even though I would have gotten there late, I feel like I'm old, but I still want the college experience. So at that point, I said, you know what, it's time for me to get involved in certain campus life activities. So that's where I joined my fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, one of the best decisions I've ever made. And I've also gotten involved in Media Active. I'm a media journalism major. So I got involved in that club outside of my fraternal organization. So that really helped me to get acquainted with younger persons who are now in these organizations also, who also helped me to get better connected to what college is about, because I still was learning at that point. But overall, it was a great experience, and matriculating from high school to college, even after that break. Yeah, I think that's basically it.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to share with the persons on the call, the attendees today?
Well, for me, like I said before, my experience with getting into college was different from most stories. But what I would encourage you to do is seek out as much information as possible, because my parents weren't able to give me a lot of the information that I would have needed. And I don't hate them for it. I don't have any resentment for it, but because I'm still grateful for my experiences. But if I had known then what I know now, I would have sent out more applications. I did the PSAT in high school, which is a practice SAT. I didn't have my parents there to encourage me to take the SATs. So by the time as I was looking to actually get into a college abroad, I didn't take the SATs. So at that point, I was like, oh, I didn't even know I needed SATs to get. I just thought it was something you did in high school because our guidance counselor was just telling us to take it. So my parents weren't there to really push me in certain directions that I needed to be pushed in. But overall, just apply. Anywhere that you can apply. And then you could always work out, hey, which is the best for me, but apply. The whole point is that you apply. On top of that, when you get to college, get involved in campus life, it helps you to be able to better conform to what college is about. It helps you to better matriculate through college, because what you experience without it just is academic and not recreational time. Makes coming from a style, and sometimes you insecure and insecure to so many agent in person there. But yeah, just get involved in campus life, involved in many things that you could get involved in the Bahamas. We have to every.
Okay, looks like we've lost him again. Jeffrey, thank you. Thank you so much.
I am so sorry this keeps going out and coming in.
It's okay. We all know. We all know. So it's congested, and we all know. We understand. But thank you so much for that story. Because I'm sure we have students on here who, or even adults who can learn from what you have shared with us. So Mrs. Pinder, can we open the floor for questions? Jeffrey and Tristan, stay on. So if anyone has any questions directed to you guys, you're able to answer.
For sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Georgette and Tristan and Jeffrey. What I loved about Jeffrey's presentation just now was the fact that he said he was an average student. His GPA was often below a 3.0. Was I correct in what I heard?
You are mute.
You're mute.
Muted.
You're on mute.
Yeah, you're
Sorry,
mute.
low 3 points, high 2 points. Basically
Okay,
average.
you know, so a lot of times I think kids kind of rule out the option of going to college because, oh, I wasn't one of the top 5 kids, you know, but college is for a myriad of learners. And so I'm glad that you brought that up. I'm always rooting for the ones who are there in the middle, you know, hoping that they just, you know, take it to the next level. And so it was a delight to hear your story. Tristan, you have truly inspired me, and I'm sure a lot of the other attendees as well. You articulate your journey through college so well, you know, and that is what I really appreciate about, you know, hearing from the students that I would have taught, how you can just come full circle and really represent yourself so well. And so I want to, you know, encourage both of you to continue. I'm sure we have not seen or heard the last from you, and just, you know, continue on that journey. Learning is a journey.
Can I interject something here? You know, for the people like me, and I even have to say this, family circle, every flower does not bloom in the same season. All right. And so students going exiting high school, you must understand that. Set your own goals and feel accomplished when you achieve your own goals. Because in life, there is always someone who's going to be smarter, prettier, have more money. Cheer them on, but have your own goals. And remember to celebrate your own milestones along the way. All right, so don't look around at what other people are doing. And I think it is a lie from the enemy to make you think that you are old at 20. How much? 1? Oh my Lord, help me to be 21 years old, right?
Yeah, 21.
No, that is, oh, the audacity of the enemy to make you feel as though 21 is old.
Yeah.
You have just put down your milk and bib. Can I say that on a webinar? But you're just there. You're just there. You're just starting. I appreciate your comment on joining campus life.
Yeah.
Personally, that is something that I never did, and you make me feel as though I missed something. Man, I need to go back to college again.
No, it's gone. Sorry, nope.
I missed it. But you know, I appreciate that, and it helps you to get networked. Networking was something that was mentioned yesterday.
Yeah.
So it helps you to get network. It helps you to become more sociable, to developing those people skills. And a lot of people don't realize, even in the skill set of leadership, being able to relate to people, just being relatable, that is a skill, you know, that leaders, you know, servant leaders and those leaders that pioneer, that they have that. Excuse me.
Uh-oh, okay, something happened.
Yeah.
So I just want to jump in with another comment, really to expand upon choosing from several colleges. I would just put in my experience here. When it was time for my son to go to college, we visited Canada, and the only school we visited, St. Mary's University, we fell in love with it. Love, 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 love. And so we just went with that. You know, the campus was beautiful, but now 3 years later, I kind of feel like we should have given other institutions an opportunity as well, you know, some consideration, I should say, as well. And so I'm glad that you guys did bring up applying to a variety of schools and really looking at what each institution has to offer. And in talking about institutions, we have UB representatives on the webinar. In the chat section, I would like for any college student who has applied to UB for this fall or for the January semester to just indicate in the chat if there's anyone there who has planned to go to UB this fall or in the following semester? Do we have anyone? I can, okay, Justin, good, Justin Mitchell. I can say I'm a proud UB graduate. So can Mrs. Knowles. I see we have Justin, only Justin. I've applied for the fall, Ariane Smith. Okay, very, very good. All right, these people, I definitely want to be able to connect with them and do something special for those who are really looking at studying at home. I've applied for the fall as well. Okay, so we have Renee Clark, Daranique, awesome. Because listen, when it was my time to go to college, my friends were going to the United States. And I was like, I am going to the United States. But realistically, my parents were not financially prepared to send me to St. Leo or wherever else I thought to go. And my mother, she had a friend whose daughter had gone to COB, and she was a part of the teaching program there. And she was like, oh, say no man, say Kelly. Actually, I think my mommy was gonna try to hustle and see if she could have sent me abroad, but after talking to her friend, she was like, you need to send Kelly to COB. They pay my daughter's tuition. They pay her $556 a month for her studies. Everything is covered. It is an excellent school. Just send her, say, even if you send her just for the first 2 years, let her get a start, you know, get some more money together, and then she can go abroad. But after 2 years of being at COB, I was like, where I going? You know, I loved it. I loved the campus experience, and it was an excellent choice, you know, and so I definitely advocate for COB. Do they stress you out? Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. But you know, I think it's worth it.
Let me add to that, because yes, you mentioned I am a proud COB, but now they say UB, a graduate. And let me tell you, when I decided to get my credentials evaluated, for a very short time, I taught in the US, all right? I did the teaching degree here at home, Northern Campus, Grand Bahama, but I needed to get my degree evaluated to see if it was on the same level as those in the US, so that I could be on the same pay scale as those in the US. Not only did I have my credentials evaluated in the US, but I also had it evaluated in Canada. And can I tell you, UB is on the same level, all right? So don't go overspending, because at the end of the day, you can end up with the same paycheck. All right, UB is up there high in the ranks with the other universities, with the other colleges. And so it is an amazing choice. And yes, I am an advocate. I have to put a plug in there for my alma mater. But the young lady, Tristan, that spoke, she started to mention that she continuously applied for more aid. I just wanted her to take me into that process. I want her conversation to go just a little bit deeper in there for me. I want us to zero in on that, Tristan, if you're still here, so that the others can hear how you went about doing that. Did you search all over the place? Did you only look at the financial aid in that particular school? How did you do your research to find out about all of the aid out there, so that the other attendees can know how to go about doing it the way that you did it?
So in order to figure out how much aid each college was going to give me, at first I didn't ask every college. I decided to. So first, the three colleges that I got accepted to, the two colleges, Middlebury and UVM, that I decided, okay, I want to go to either one. I looked at the financial aid package that they gave me at first. And what I did was I said, okay, I gave it to my parents and said, okay, is this good enough? Can we afford this? And so for both, they said, no, see if you can get a bit more. So what I did was I sent an email to their student financial services, and I just basically told them the truth. And I told them, how the country and how expensive it is to live here and how that's affecting my parents. And I just went in depth as honestly and as concise as I could. And so one of the Middlebury came back and said, I'm sorry, we cannot give you any more aid. So I automatically kind of knew that was off the table, but University of Vermont,
Okay, thanks so much. I'm going to
they
forward
said,
that
okay,
info to PJ right now. Thank you.
so that's how I did it. I just appealed to the student financial services even more in order to see if I can get to more, because I really wanted to go to one of those two schools.
And I think it's also important to look for local businesses that actually want to help. Surprisingly, you have like Island Luck that has a scholarship fund. You have some of the local restaurants. And so it's just good to keep your eyes out. The Grandmama Port Authority, there are many smaller scholarships as well that add up to a lot at the end of the day. So you really have to put in the work. Like, it's not going to fall in your lap unless your parents have a trust fund waiting for you that's going to cover your tuition. Honey, you have to work. You have to save, maybe even coming home in the summers, getting a job, saving every little $200 check that you get, and just being wise about it. We're not privileged people. I mean, I wasn't, I'm not, but I can say today that I have a master's degree that I'm very proud of, but I had to put in the work and I had to make sacrifices. And so always keep that in mind. Nothing that is worth it will ever just come easily. You have to work for it,
Agreed. There are two questions listed for Jeffrey. How is your experience balancing a 9 to 5 along with going to school? Tony
Good
asked that
question.
question.
My experience with balancing that was very difficult. That was probably one of the most difficult parts of my whole experience. It took me, because now I'm a full-time student and a full-time worker, so it's even worse now, but I really had to find a way to manage my time wisely, because I go to work from 7:30 in the morning. Thank God for a flexible job, so I'm able to then attend my classes as I need to. But I really have to manage my time wisely, knowing that when I come from class, as soon as I get home, I have to make sure that any homework that I have to get done for the following day is done. And any materials that I need for a class, I have to make sure I get that done with. And then I have to prepare for work the next day. So it is tedious. It's not easy, but once you set your mind to do it, you can definitely get it done. So I'm not gonna paint it like, okay, it's a fairy tale, but once you know what you want to do, you have to settle yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to be disciplined in getting this done because this is what I want. Some days you're going to feel like, oh, I just can't do it. It's easy to just say, I just can't do it. But anything that you start, see it through. Always remember that, see it through. And once you have that mentality, you will just have to find different ways to do what you have to do to get it done. So that's basically it.
Excellent advice, Jeffrey. I can attest to that as well. I worked full-time and did my undergrad degree, and working full-time now and doing a master's degree while trying to get my daughter to college. The past year has been extremely rough. A lot of other areas of my life suffered. So I can definitely attest to the importance of seeing it through, through it all. Like Ms. Noah said earlier, nothing's, like things worth something, it takes hard work. It's going to take some long nights. It's going to take getting up early to obtain the goals that you want to achieve. We have another question for Tristan. This one is for Tristan from Tony again. Do you think that you would reconsider medical school or choose a path like speech pathology?
Okay. Actually, one of the main, I am going to decide to keep going on to this path for speech language pathology. I'm actually gonna start applying for my master's programs coming up pretty soon. But the key thing that made me want to choose speech language pathology, other than my passion and my love for it, was so in my second year or my first year, one of those, as a biology major, we started to look into different medical schools that we were thinking of, me and my mother. And I realized that another reason why I'm going to University of Vermont is because they have a renowned medical school. It's very good, one of the top ones in like New England. And so going on their page, I realized that international students could not apply because of the new policy that Trump had implemented. So after doing that, I said, okay, basically me being in University of Vermont makes no more sense because that is the whole reason why I was going. So me and my mother debated, okay, do you want to come home
before I start,
or do you want to change your path? Because I was considering speech language pathology, and weighing the cons and the pros. And to be honest, before going to UVM and pursuing my biology degree, I had some doubts if I wanted to become a medical doctor. And so I thought that was a sign enough. I said, I'm falling in love with speech language pathology, and I think I want to do it. So I changed my major, and University of Vermont has a very great CST program and a great speech language pathology master's degree. So that's the track I'm going on. So I'm staying with speech language pathology.
Excellent. Sound like you've done your homework, so you know what's next. Thank you, Tristan.
I see another comment that says if anyone is good athletically, they can also inquire about athletic scholarships. I've heard, I don't know how true it is, but I've even heard that athletic scholarships are easier to get than academic ones because athletics is a way of marketing schools. Universities really go after the talent. And so if you're only brains, you might qualify for so much, but if you can pair your brains with a sport, you don't even have to be great at it. But if you can join the soccer team, and if it's a winning soccer team, that would even be better. The swim club, a basketball team, that would definitely pay off. And so look into that as well. Whereas, because I've heard like a child who had both. She was a very good basketball player, but she was also an honor roll student. They offered her about $5,000 for academics and then like $20,000 for sports. So the tuition that was about $40,000 for the year, she got $25,000 off because of her athletic ability. And so it's something to really think about. Georgette, I don't know if you had, not Georgette today, Mrs. Albury. I don't know if you had any other questions or comments, but I do have Mrs. Harvey from UB who wants to address the panel very briefly. If we can bring her in. Ms. Harvey.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you again for inviting the University of Bahamas to your webinar. We do appreciate that very much. And I noticed that some of the students that you had asked if they applied to the University of Bahamas, the names are quite familiar, especially Madam Renee Clark. Oh, I think she's been accepted already. And let me tell you, any question that she can think about, she sends that to the admissions email. And that's a very good thing because it shows us that she's excited and she's very interested in coming to UB and learning more about the programs and being a part of campus life. So Renee, I must commend you for your many questions. Keep it up. And I would encourage those other persons as well. Continue to email, send your emails. If you have questions, if you have concerns, send the email because that's your first step in receiving information from the University of Bahamas. I would also like to briefly point out that, given the COVID-19 global pandemic, we had to make some changes to our policy involving, I guess, trying to figure out other ways that we can bring students in other than waiting for the BGCSEs. I know that we now have a date, but the placement exam is now in place. whereby students can sit the placement exams in English and math. So once they sit the placement exam in English and math, and that is for those who do not have any BGCSEs, they can sit the placement exam, and based on that, it will determine whether they go directly into our degree program or whether they are going to go into academic enhancement, which is the same as college prep. So persons would have sat the online exam. I think it began around November the 22nd, and the last one was through November the 27th. Now we're on a little break, and then we'll resume the next online sitting. It will be in June the 22nd through the 29th. So persons that would have applied, once they applied, we would send them the information related to the placement exam and the payment instructions. To sit the placement exam, you can either do the math or the English. If the student already has the other BGCSE, then they only pay the $35. Let's say, for example, if they already have the English BGCSE, then they just do pay for the math BGCSE at a cost of $35. If they don't have either one, then of course they'll only pay they'll pay the $60, sorry, to for both exams. Also, my email address for those persons that would want to communicate more and hear more about this. I don't want to take up too much time. The email address is admissions with an S, NBC as in admissions, not boy cat, at ub.edu.bs. Okay, my telephone contact is 688-5911. You can get me on that. And we are actually back in the office, not working full hours, but we are back Mondays through Thursdays between the hours of 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. I am there on Mondays and Wednesdays, and Mr. Smith, Navarre Smith, who I think is also on this call, he is there on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 to 12 p.m. So please feel free to stop in or shoot us an email, any questions, any concerns, and we'll do our best to get back to you. So yes, we do appreciate you. I'd like to say once again, for those of you that apply, we are still accepting applications. So I encourage those of you that are still trying to consider, it doesn't hurt to still put in an application to UB in the event things don't go as planned for your international choices. So still submit an application to the University of Bahamas. Thank you. And I think that's going to be it for me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Harvey. Yes, I was just going to ask you to put in your email and telephone contact information, but I see Miss Amaretto's, they've done that. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for coming and being a part of this. So just some for clarity, persons who have already applied to UB: Renee Clark, Justin Mitchell, Ariane Smith, Daronique Stewart. Did I miss anyone? Adam Johnson, maybe? You can put in the chat if I would have left off anyone, but I got those 4 persons. Yes, okay, all right, Adam, thank you so much. All right, so that's 5 people. Well, I will be emailing you directly after the webinar, but I am so pleased that, you know, we've had a good talk today. Ms. Albury, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Ms. Pender, this webinar is recorded and will be shared with our attendees, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So I just want to remind them that if there's anything that that they need to be refreshed with, just listen to the recording, as well as I am here to assist any student who is prepared to begin this process. My email address is collegeready242@gmail.com, and just let's get this started. You know, whether you're in grade 10, grade 11, or grade 12, let's start your journey. And thank you once again for attending.
Wonderful advice. Oh man, I wish I knew some of this stuff, you know.
I know.
A bit earlier. All right. Yeah. Any final questions?
Do we have anyone in the chat?
Thank you. Great engaging presentation, most definitely. Yes. And so as I told the group yesterday, because we have your email addresses, any information that we come by, any scholarship information, we'll be sending it to you. Okay, so this is the beginning of a very long relationship, because we want to see you through this future that is unprecedented. We've never experienced this now, you know. And one thing we didn't say too much about COVID-19, but guess what? COVID-19 doesn't stop any shows. You know, colleges are still enrolling. Listen, and the prices have not gone down either. I was
No.
expecting tuition to be a little bit cheaper now that they
No.
don't go to classes. A lot of the learning is now virtual, but the cost is still the same, you know. I don't know if they're gonna make any adjustments, but nonetheless, the show goes on. And so you just have to be ready. Use this time wisely. Don't look at it as wasted time or, oh, it's just a delay between where I'm at now and where I want to go. No, this time is precious, you know. So this is the time that you can go and really look into colleges and find exactly what it is you want for yourself in the academic arena. And so I really want to thank everyone once again for being a part of this. And yeah, we will be in touch.
Yes, we will. And thank you all so much for joining us. We're on again tomorrow. Miss Pinder, do you want to talk about what tomorrow is going to be all about?
Yeah, so every day I've just been excited. I'm always excited. But tomorrow, we will be talking about entrepreneurial skills, really developing your business idea in this time. A lot of people think that, oh, now isn't a good time to launch a business. They say the majority of millionaires came out of times of recession. And so if you want to learn, even as a young person, how to make some money, you want to tune in tomorrow as Torrente Line steers us in that direction, turning your passion into a business. I've personally turned a passion of mine recently into a business. I could share a little bit about that tomorrow. And so, yeah, same place, your house, not mine, same time. So yeah, it's gonna be good, all right? So Georgette, thank you once again.
Thank you too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you to everyone. All right, signing off.